Welcome to the Awakened Goddess Show, your source for inspiration, wisdom, and personal discovery. The place to learn from a diverse mix of mentors, metaphysical experts, spiritual leaders, and best-selling authors from around the world. I'm Angela Wilkinson, attraction coach and founder of The Goddess Next Door. Join me as I explore the minds of my masterful guests while they share powerful insights and easy-to-use tools you can start using right away. Now, let's tap into the energy of the Awakened Goddess and be enlightened by today's guest. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Angela Wilkinson, and welcome to this episode, number 32 of the Awakened Goddess Show. Barbara Stanny is a best-selling author and leading authority on women and money. In her most recent book, Sacred Success, A Course in Financial Miracles, Barbara strives to revolutionize women's relationship with power and wealth. More than just a financial guru, Barbara's insights and strategies act as primers on power for women, tutorials for taking charge of your life by taking charge of your finances. But before I talk with Barbara today, let me chat with you for a minute. I spent years with the wrong guy, and like you, I had been dreaming of meeting the one for years and years. But every day I would wake up, something would happen, and I'd lose hope a little bit more each day. Frankly, I was tired. I knew that the dream was there, and my friends would ask if I was dating anyone special, and half-heartedly I'd say, no, not yet. I was tired of dreaming about meeting my guy, of being single, and I was ready to meet my soulmate. And for years I'd been looking for Prince Charming, but I didn't really know how to meet him. I'm going to tell you what I did and what I learned. I spent years trying everything. I had been on all the dating sites, like eHarmony, Match. I'd been setting intentions, doing love rituals, talking to matchmakers. You name it, I did it. I met lots of guys, but none that really sparked my interest. Some of it was fun, but was it really worth it? I knew I could have saved myself so much time and met Mr. Right if I had taken a different approach. So I wanted to offer a shortcut. And that shortcut can help you realize your dream of meeting your soulmate, get the support you need so that you're not doing it alone, and help you focus so you're not distracted. I spent years creating the Love Spark program. I took everything I learned and simplified it down. I amplified what works, and I got guest experts to give you some amazing bonus gifts. And what I've done today is put together a program that will move you. It'll move you closer to your dream. Will it guarantee you'll meet your soulmate? Of course not. If you want someone to guarantee you're going to meet someone, hire a matchmaker. But for me, I wanted to not only meet my soulmate, but know how to become a better manifester in all areas of my life. So I'd like you to join me in this Love Spark program. Now, do you have to? No, of course not. You could spend years trying to figure it out alone. You could also find books that will give relationship advice on just about any topic you can imagine. But ask yourself this and be really honest. Have you been wanting to meet your soulmate for years and you still haven't? If so, it's time to make a change. You don't need to invest in an expensive matchmaker and spend $10,000 to $40,000. I've done the work for you, and I can show you how you can meet your guy sooner than you think. Let me take the best of what I know, help you prepare for your soulmate, the real deal, give you the support you need, and help you stop putting the dream of true love off until tomorrow, waiting for the right guy to come along. Instead, join Love Spark and learn how to magnetize your soulmate right to you. By the way, can you get a 100% guarantee from a matchmaker? Of course not. With this program, I take on all the risk. Try it, and if you don't love it, I'll send you 100% of your money back. I believe in the program that much. Learn more at theawakenedgoddess.com or go to the podcast page and click on the Love Spark banner. See you in the program. Now let's talk with Barbara. Welcome, Barbara, to the show. So glad to have you here today.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. I am more than thrilled to have you here because one of your books really touched me in a huge, profound way. Your book, Secret of Six-Figure Women. I came across that book just randomly, and I tell you, ever since then, you have been close to my heart. Because there was like a particular chapter in there that really struck home for me, and how we as women really limit ourselves in our financial success and really kind of put that glass ceiling on ourselves. And so I just was thrilled to be able to have you join me today and talk about your newest book, which it just is like taking all of this deeper and deeper. So let's just dive in, shall we?
Let's dive in.
Yeah. So one of the things that you've really been consistent about is saying that it's not about money, that it's about power, and that our financial success is a rite of passage into our power. And, this is the day after Valentine's Day, and this show is really geared towards women. And I think self-love is something that sometimes we kind of put to the side, especially around this time of year. So I'm excited to talk about your perspective on our money and power and self-love.
I really believe, Angela, that financial success is an act of love.
Yes.
It's an act of self-love, because no one should have to stay in any situation where they're not happy because they can't afford to leave. And it's an act of love for others, because it's not just having money, it's what you can do with your money to make a difference in other people's lives.
Yes. Yeah.
So money is love.
It is. It is. And there's like that energetic frequency. And so let's, first off, those people that aren't familiar with your story, until this book, I really wasn't familiar with your personal story. And, you just really put it out there. And I would like you to share a little bit of your backstory so the people that are listening can kind of get a sense of where you came from. And, you are the daughter of H&R Block, Richard of H&R Block. So tell us more about that.
So I grew up wealthy. And the only advice my father ever gave me about money was, don't worry. Don't worry, which I thought was fabulous advice, because I didn't want to worry. I didn't understand money. I just wanted to spend it. And there was always a man. First there was my father, then there was my husband, who was a stockbroker, a financial planner. But what I didn't realize very early in our marriage is he was a compulsive gambler. And over the course of our 15-year marriage, I'd find out many times during the year that he was gambling money away. And the insane part, I continued to let him manage it, because that's how intimidated and terrified I was by anything financial. And I remember after our divorce, I decided I was not going to deal with money. Money's not my thing. I don't want to deal with it. Well, I have this theory now that if you don't deal with your money will deal with you. And in the next year, I got tax bills for over $1 million for back taxes my ex didn't pay, for illegal deals he got us in. Now, my ex had left the country. I did not have $1 million, not close to it. And my father wouldn't lend me the money.
Oh, no.
And I had 3 daughters.
Wow.
One was just a baby. I was not going to raise those girls on the street. I didn't know how I was going to do it. But I just knew I was not going to stay stupid about money any longer. And I believe that when you really make a commitment, the down to your toes kind of no backdoor commitment, the universe revolves to help you reach your goal. And I was a journalist writing for the San Francisco Business Times, and I got hired for a freelance project to interview women who were smart with money. And those interviews totally changed my life. I not only got smart about money for myself, but I wrote my first book, Prince Charming Isn't Coming, How Women Get Smart About Money. But I started doing financial education for women. And suddenly I had this whole new career. But then I knew how to manage money, but I didn't know how to make it. So I wrote Secrets of Six-Figure Women, which you read. And I want to tell you, I started making six figures 3 times what I'd ever made before I even finished writing that book.
Wow.
So it changed my life too.
Wow.
And then I went on to write my next book, Overcoming Under-Earning.
Yes. And then now here we are.
Here we are with Sacred Success.
Yeah, this is what, your 7th book?
This is my 7th book. If you don't count, my first book is out of print. But so I have 6 books in print.
Wow. That is so impressive. So what made you want to write this book, Sacred Success, A Course in Financial Miracles?
It happened around 2000. Well, I thought I was going to be writing a book about women who make millions.
Yes.
Because I woke up one night, I had overcome under-earning. I was making 6 figures, and I woke up one night and I thought, my next goal is I want to make millions, help millions, give millions.
Yes.
And I knew how I'd do it. I started interviewing women who make millions, just like I interviewed women who made 6 figures. And 3 years later, I was nowhere near my goal. And there was absolutely no book. And I remember I had a coach at the time, and she said, Barbara, you're too into doing. You need time for just being. And I went on a 4-day retreat. And it was during those 4 days that this whole new body of work started coming to me that would have me combining my spirituality with finance, which is something I've always done in my own life, but I had been very scared to put out there.
Yes.
And I felt like it's the time now. It's the time. And because I believe, especially for women, financial success is not just a practical process. It is a spiritual practice. And I have a word, I coined a word, metaphysical.
Yes, I love it.
And when you combine, conversation of the almighty dollar with belief in the divine, whatever the divine is for you, it makes financial success a much richer experience, a healing journey, a rite of passage.
So then what is sacred success?
Sacred success, the definition, is pursuing your soul's purpose, doing what you are here to do on this planet, pursuing your soul's purpose for your own bliss, doing something that makes you happy, and for the benefit of others, while being richly rewarded. And so what the distinction in sacred success, there are 3 levels of financial development. There is survival, stability, and affluence. Overcoming under-earning, which I've been teaching for over 10 years, is the journey from survival to stability. Sacred success is the journey from stability to affluence. And the big difference here is, in order to go from survival to stability, you have to have a profit motive. You have to want to make money. Money is first and foremost. Money's a good thing. It's a great thing. You love money. But once you reach stability, in sacred success, profit is no longer the primary goal. It's an intended outcome. It's a desire. But the primary goal is greatness. And I define greatness, paraphrasing a quote by Fred Buchner. Greatness is that place where your deep gladness, doing what you love doing, meets the world's deep hunger. And that place is where greatness resides. And that's why we do all this. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you can definitely, I get the sense of the cycle. It's like you are doing what fuels you and your soul and your spirit, and then you put it out there, and then people are, they benefit from it, and then it comes back, and you are rewarded with the financial piece. So it's kind of like that.
Yeah, you're rewarded with this financial piece, but you still have to start the journey with a profit motive. You still have to respect and appreciate money by taking care of it. Money figures in, but it's not the primary goal. Because, see, here's the difference. Men and women view money and power through very different lenses.
Yes.
For men, Men exercise power by asserting control. Women exercise power by building relationships. To men, by and large, power and wealth are the ultimate goal, and they very much go together. For women, wealth and power are simply a means to an end. Mm-hmm. And what motivates us, once we are financially stable, what motivates us, not making more money, it's being able to help others. And so when you can be a good steward of your money and be able to help others, that's a very powerful place to be. Mm-hmm. And to me, my definition, I've always known ever since I started in this, almost 20 years ago, I've always known that women's difficulties with money has much less to do with money per se, and far more to do with their fear of or ambivalence about power. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think in my definition, a powerful woman is someone who knows who she is, who knows what she wants, and expresses that in the world unapologetically. Hallelujah. So what that means is to be powerful means we have to step up and become the authority in our lives. We have to ask for what we want instead of watering ourselves down so we don't make waves. And this is what's scary for women.
It is. Yeah, it is definitely scary to ask for your needs and wants to be met, especially when it comes to the financial piece. There are so many wonderful service providers out there, coaches and spiritual practitioners that have such a hard time asking for money. And they're like, there's the starving artist. Well, there's a lot of starving spiritual people too, because we see asking for money to be a negative in a way. And
there was one line I put in my book, and I kept taking it out. I kept putting it in and taking it out because I was really scared. And I just was scared how people would react to it. And it turns out Publishers Weekly gave me a great review. And Publishers Weekly is like the Bible for the publishing industry. And they gave me a great review. And this one line that I was so scared to put in was how they started their review. And that line is that I believe money is God made visible. Mm-hmm. I believe that money allows us to do incredible things in the world, to really make a difference.
Yeah. Well, and when we're talking about power and really shining and stepping out, you think about if you are living in poverty or scarcity and you have very limited funds, then your reach is really inhibited.
There's a great line, Michael Beckwith of Agape Church, amazing, amazing man. But I love his quote, how can you be the light of the world if you can't pay your own light bill?
Oh, God, I love that.
And it's like we were put on this earth to do great things. We really, really were. Not necessarily big things, not necessarily global things, but we were each here to do what we're here to do. And you cannot possibly live full out if you're drowning in debt or struggling to make ends meet. You just can't.
Yeah. So you're clearly on a mission here.
Clearly.
I love it. I could just feel the fire within. So what is your goal with this book?
My goal is that it sounds so silly, but my goal is that it reaches the hands who need to read it. Mm-hmm. That I want to help women see wealth and power differently. I want women to really begin to step up to the plate and into their power in the biggest way possible, so that because I believe we are going through a very big paradigm shift. Yes. And with this, we've been in a patriarchal culture. And I think what's changing is that the patriarchy is crumbling because it's no longer working. But what we need now is a partnership society where we, powerful women along with enlightened men, can lead together and bring the best of the masculine and the best of the feminine together. Yes. And Lord knows the world is ready for that.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm wondering, with your experience of of interviewing these very successful women, it seems like there's been a trend, at least in the past, of women when they become successful or trying to achieve that success, they tend to take on a lot of the masculine qualities because there's that it's kind of like what you said earlier about the doing versus the being. So I'm wondering, did you notice that as well?
No, that's what struck me because, so I grew up in women's lib. Mm-hmm. I grew up in the 70s when women were being let. I was part of the ones who were going back into the workplace. And there we thought we had to mimic men. But that's changing dramatically. And that's what was so exciting to me in these interviews. It wasn't that they were making so much money. It was how they were doing it. They were doing it in a very different way the world models. Very differently than men. And that's what got me so excited. That's what I felt I wanted. That's the word I wanted to spread. There is another way. There is another way to create and wealth and power as women. And I wanted to show the world the feminine face of power.
Yes. Love it. So can you talk more, please? I want to hear more.
You want to hear more?
Yeah. How were they doing things differently? The key things that you saw that were standing out for you.
Well, what I saw, what really struck me is they all went through 4 stages.
Yes. Okay.
And I was going through the first stage. This was in 2009, 2010, when I interviewed these women and I was totally burned out because there was no way. I was making less money than I ever had. I was not even a 6-figure woman for a while. And I was just like horrified, humiliated. And I was so burned out. So I took this retreat. And when I took this retreat, I took all my transcripts of the interviews with me. Mm-hmm. And I saw the stages. And the first stage of sacred success is the call to greatness. And the call to greatness comes when you are being called to play a bigger game. And signs of the call to greatness are feeling burned out, frustrated, anxious, bored, unhappy, maybe some kind of crisis. It's your soul. It's your soul calling you, saying, stop what you're doing. Pay attention. Mm-hmm. It's time to play a bigger game.
Yeah.
And all these women felt that. And they did something very different than what I try to do and what the world would try to do. Is they went into the second stage, which is surrender, receptive surrender. So instead of fighting this feeling, now what happened? It was often, almost always, precipitated by some kind of terrible crisis, like breast cancer or bankruptcy or a terrible breakup or just something terrible would happen that left them no choice but to sit back and allow and receive. And I think we in this culture do not understand, we do not encourage, and we certainly don't reward surrender.
Right.
And so as a result of seeing how these women had a crisis hit and they were forced to take time out, and it was during that time out, during that surrender, that they reflected and regrouped. As one woman said, I regrouped and came back stronger. Mm-hmm. And so I took 10 months off. And I took 9 months. I thought I was going to take 1 month. I ended up taking 9 months off. And that's when I gave birth to Sacred Success. And I realized the first stage is the call to greatness. The second is surrender. The third stage is disciplined action. Mm-hmm. And at the end of 9 months, I knew I was in the third stage. It was time to do my first Sacred Success retreat. It was time to get this information out into the world. But what happened is I did my retreat and I started doing what I'd always done, way too much.
Yes.
I started doing way too much. I got a team. I just hit the ground running. And I was forced to surrender again. I got pneumonia.
Oh.
And I realized that surrender and discipline is a very important dance that our world does not acknowledge surrender and discipline together. And so to go forward and I learned so much from those women about discipline. And one of the things that I learned, and it's more about mental discipline than even physical discipline, is in order to play this big a game, you have to toughen up. Because you have to do tough things that often have negative effects on other people, like raising your fees, like negotiating, like firing people. But what I learned from these women, one of the most pronounced part of it for me was they toughened up, not by hardening their heart or becoming all macho, but they toughened up with this belief, this thought, I'd rather be respected than liked. And that changed everything for me. Mm-hmm. That even helped me write this book. Because people may not like me. People may not like what I have to say. But they will respect me because it's my truth. Mm-hmm. And so you take these steps. You heed the call. You go into surrender. You just take disciplined action. You get the call again. You go back into surrender. Maybe for just a few moments. And all the while you're getting ever closer to the fourth stage, which is modeling greatness. And you model greatness by leaving a legacy. To really think about how you want to be remembered. What is the footprint you want to leave on the world?
Yeah, that process is just very profound. And I love how you thought you were going to take 1 month. And it took 9. And, this is like the natural cycle of birth, right?
And what's so funny is my daughter was pregnant at the same time. And at the 9th month, she and I were doing the same thing. I was getting restless because I knew it was time, but I didn't feel like there was time yet to go out there. She was getting restless because she had this big baby. She was ready for it to go out, but it wouldn't go out. It had its own time. And I saw that the whole process of nature and learning from nature and how nature works, there are so many lessons for us. Instead of pushing and strenuously forcing things, to really allow, surrender, receive, and when it's time, you push.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think so many women will relate to exactly what we're talking about right now. And let's talk more about the receptive surrender, because I know personally for myself, that is something that I struggle with, because it is scary to surrender and take that space and take.
Have you ever tried, Angela? Have you ever tried?
When I go hiking, I am very much receptively surrendered. Yes, and I do know that is like when I get my best stuff, but for a period of time where I'm just kind of like, I'm not so-called doing things for the money to come in, but I'm just kind of in that space. No, that's too scary.
It is scary, but I would take other things off my plate. I stopped seeing clients. I stopped speaking. I stopped writing. I stopped blogging. I stopped Facebook. I stopped all social media. And the whole idea of this is not just to allow yourself space, but it's also to face your fears. Mm-hmm. Because until we meet our demons and we keep pushing them down, they will continue to handicap us. They will continue to hold us hostage. And I know my biggest fear, ever since I was a little girl, was one day, I'm not important, and one day I'll just disappear. Mm. And so what I did is I disappeared. But the damnedest thing happened. I didn't disappear. I was still important to my boyfriend, who's now my husband. I was still important to my family and to my friends. And it's like, it used to be that this I am important is what pushed me to write books. And when I saw I am important, and it stopped pushing me. And suddenly my purpose, which is to be a pencil in God's hand, that's what pushed me. Look, I wrote this in my book, Overcoming Under-Earning. When you learn to face that which you fear, it need never control you again.
Mm.
And that's so much a part of, I think, really doing what we're here to do is facing our fears so they no longer hold us hostage. And it's funny, I have 3 daughters, and they're now in their 30s, 40s. But even when they were younger, and they still, to this day, they call me when they feel stuck or they don't know what to do. And they know I'm going to tell them the same thing, but they still call me. And they'll call me and they'll say, Mom, I don't know what to do. And I will always say, well, what are you most scared to do? And they tell me. I say, well, that's what you need to do. They go, okay, Mom.
Wow.
But sometimes we need permission. We need feel it's okay to do what we're scared to do. Because I always say, do what you fear because that's how you grow. Mm-hmm. That is my motto.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be having carpal tunnel surgery here in a couple weeks, and that's going to be like kind of my way of surrendering, right? Because I'll be out of commission. I won't be able to get on my computer.
Oh, this is perfect. That's how the universe tells us it's time to surrender.
Yes.
Because when we don't listen, our body talks to us.
Yes.
So how are you going to use that time? Because you can get into busyness. Oh, yes. Even if you are flat on your back.
Did someone tell you about me before we started talking?
No, but you're the former me. Yes. I know. I know this busyness addiction. I can spot it a mile away.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do? I'm asking you, and I'm asking people who are listening. What are you going to do to take time to surrender, especially when your body says, "Okay, this is getting serious here."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and literally not being able to do what I usually do. So I have no idea. I'll probably, read books on my iPad or something.
Can I suggest something?
Oh, please do. Yes.
Can I suggest, read books. That's all fine. But that you spend some time just staring out the window. Mm-hmm. That you spend some time closing your eyes and maybe feeling whatever's coming up in you and just feel it and let it get bigger and bigger, whatever that feeling is, whether it's bad or good.
Yep.
That you let yourself have some real downtime. And if the anxiety comes up, close your eyes and go into the anxiety. Make it bigger. Mm-hmm. See what it's trying to tell you. Now, how does that feel?
I will do it. Yes.
Because I really believe that when our soul is trying to communicate to us and we don't listen, it uses our body. And your soul has something it wants to tell you. Mm-hmm. Something that you need to hear. And so I encourage you to take the time to listen.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I will. I will, definitely, because I know that this is an old pattern for me. And
it is?
It is. It is an old pattern for me.
What's an old pattern? Getting busy?
Yes, the busyness, the trying, it's like the doing. Like, oh gosh, this isn't working, so let me do this and let me do more. And, it's like the keep going bigger versus going, yeah.
In our culture, we do not value stillness. We really don't. And there's a Zen Buddhist word called sunyata. And sunyata literally means the value of the void. And I know there is great, great power in embracing the void, the time between, the period of nothing happening. It doesn't need to last a whole long time. You don't need to quit your job or you don't need to get surgery. Mm-hmm. But you do need to have some time to allow the stillness because your soul needs stillness for you to hear it.
Yes. And I heard that. There it is. It's like confirmation.
The universe talks to you in funny ways.
I know. I love it. I love it. Okay. So I would like to have you talk a little bit more about the surrendering and how that affects your money flow. Because I know, again, with the busyness, that was for the sole purpose of creating more money. But I know that that has also blocked the money flow.
So how has it blocked the money flow for you, do you believe, or would you guess?
Trying too hard or doing too much.
Right.
Yeah.
Asserting your will.
Yes.
Over a higher will.
Yes.
So I'll tell you what happened to me that year. In 2009 was a terrible year. I came back in 2010 and I decided to take time off and eliminate almost everything that brought in money. I did that for 9 months until September. I ended up making more money that year than I ever had, because as soon as I stopped, I got a corporate client to be a spokesperson for that. I write about it in the book, that became an incredible year, and I didn't even work practically for 9 months. And that's what I've learned from interviewing successful women. It is not about the hours you put in. It's about the clarity you have, the serenity you have, and the focus you have. And you put those together, and that's what takes you farther. This is a hard one for achievement-oriented women like you and me, but it's about letting go of control and trusting that there is a higher source, that there is a greater good, there is a higher power that is always leading you towards better and better.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And consciously I know that. And, the rest of me is like fights that. So, yes.
Of course you do.
You have to step to the side, get out of the way.
So here's the thing. Because to do that, always success in everything always lies just outside your comfort zone. I don't care if it's losing weight or making more money. And so what that means is we need to go success leaves clues. And the clues are fear. So wherever you're afraid, I get afraid all the time. I scare myself all the time. And I always go, oh, goody. That means I am going to the next level. That means I am out of my comfort zone. That means this is where I'll find success. And I may not know how, and I usually don't. But this is the mindset of the high earner. This is what I've learned from my interviews. The mindset of the high earner. I ask under earners, when's the last time you did something you thought you couldn't do or were scared to do? And they go, scratch their head. I ask high earners, and they say all the time, it's a way of life. There's a high earner slogan. If it's not illegal or immoral, I just say yes. So I want to challenge you, Angela, and anyone else who wants to take on this challenge, who does not have to have surgery, to really allow yourself maybe 10 minutes in a day to do nothing and stare until it gets uncomfortable, and let it get a little more uncomfortable until you can't, and then stop. And then maybe the next day you can do a little longer. It's just a muscle. It's just like any exercise. It's building up and working that muscle. Yeah. Because and it's about surrendering, not to do nothing. Surrender is not doing nothing. It is not passive. It is very active internally. It is doing self-reflection. It is really doing a deep dive inside and see what that deepest wisdom inside you has to say.
Yeah. Well, like you mentioned in the book, you have to feel to heal.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe the masses are living lives of quiet desperation, because they're not willing to feel the old pain and the old wounds that just want to be released.
Yeah.
That all it wants is to be heard and released.
Yes.
I know, it sucks, doesn't it?
I know. This is what I coach people on all the time. But, it's like when you get to that deeper stuff, it's still tricky. It's tough.
We always teach what we need to learn.
Yeah.
Why do you think I'm talking about this? As A Course in Miracles says, the message is always for the messenger.
Yes.
So whatever I'm ever telling you is for me to hear.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. So what do you feel that is the biggest mistake that women make around money?
Doing nothing. Afraid they're going to make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I think women are terrified of making a mistake, so they do nothing. And the biggest risk we take, you and I, as women, is that we will outlive our money. That our money will not grow as fast as inflation and taxes take it away.
Yeah.
So at least some of our money needs to be in assets that grow faster than inflation, which means some of our money needs to be in not just cash, but also stocks and bonds, and perhaps real estate and commodities. And so this is my new thing. That's not my new thing, but because that's what Prince Charming is Incoming was all about. But I'm really out to help women, to demystify investing for women, to show them how simple it is, that it doesn't take a lot of time to get smart. It doesn't take a lot of money to create wealth. It is never too late to begin.
Yeah. And also, don't trust other people. Trust yourself first, right?
Well, it's not about not trusting, but it's about being knowledgeable.
Mm-hmm.
So you can decipher what they're saying to you and see if it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
So, don't trust anyone with your money. But I have a great financial advisor. I have a great team of advisors, and I trust them implicitly because I understand what they're saying, and I don't always agree with them. So to me, I teach this course called 1 Year to Wealth, Becoming a Savvy Investor, and it's a whole year of really understanding investing. Because that's how long it took me. It took me about a year to really figure this stuff out.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Very cool. Well, I always like to finish off the show with a practical tip. So I'm wondering, from all of your experience and all of your knowledge, what is a great practical tip for women and the listeners to take and start using right away when it comes to money? Like, what would you say is the first step for them?
I'm going to give you 3 steps.
Okay.
Very quickly. You do these steps for 4 months. 4 months, and you will be amazed. You'll be amazed at the progress you will make.
All right.
First step, every day, read something about money. Even if it's just perusing the headlines of the business section of the newspaper, or you're standing in line at the grocery store and you pick up Money Magazine instead of People and leaf through it, or before you go to bed at night, you take one paragraph or a couple sentences of a money book. Because so much of getting smart or smarter is just familiarizing ourselves with the jargon and the current trends. So every day read, just a few minutes. Every week talk. Every week have a conversation about money, preferably with someone that knows more than you. We moan and groan about money. But when's the last time you sat down with a friend or a colleague and said, well, how did you get smart? How do you invest? What advice do you have for me? Mm-hmm. What kind of books helped you? Things like that. So every day read, every week talk, and every month save. Automatically have a certain amount deducted from your checking account or your payroll check into a savings account. And let that build up till you have 6 or 8 months of emergency savings. And then you can do the same thing with investing in your retirement account or outside of it. You start investing that you've been reading about and talking about.
Excellent. All right. Well, I will definitely put those in the show notes and all the other awesome, well, I'll also put links to your books and stuff because, people need to know that your book is not just a book. I think it's more of a workbook. And I think every woman needs to read it, Sacred Success, because you walk us through so many great exercises that really helps us go within and really claim that power back. So how can the listeners find you and connect with you?
The best way is my website, Barbara Stanny, Stanny, BarbaraStanny.com. Mm-hmm. And if you go on, you can I do a weekly words of wealth. It's just a short thing I send out. And I have the first Monday of every month, I have a free call called Monthly Money Monday.
Oh, awesome.
And we have a fabulous community of women, and we talk about money.
Nice.
They ask questions, other people chime in, and we also have a private Facebook group that's very chatty and there's a very robust conversation going on about money.
Nice. Excellent.
Yes.
Well, I will also include those links as well, because
Thank
I think that is so generous of you to have a weekly call and have that conversation about money.
It's monthly. It's a monthly call.
Oh, monthly.
Monthly. It's the first Monday of every month. But I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Awesome.
I love it.
Well, thank you, Barbara, for joining me today. This was so much fun, and oh my gosh, I have my homework from you and my challenges, and I will definitely do those. I will definitely take some time and get quiet each day and practice that surrender. So yeah, thank you. And thanks everyone for listening to the Awakened Goddess show. Was it inspiring for you? Well, make sure to subscribe to the show at theawakenedgoddess.com to never miss an episode. And until next time, goodbye everyone. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Awakened Goddess. I hope you enjoyed today's show and took away something you can start using in your life right away. For more spiritual insights and to listen to more episodes, subscribe to The Awakened Goddess Show at thegoddessnextdoor.com and discover wisdom that'll change your life.